God bless us, everyone.
Hello, movie lovers, and welcome to our Christmas Carol reviews. Now, if you don't know what's going on, make sure you check out the first episode of this series. I'll have the link down in the description, and it'll explain exactly what's going on. But we are currently on episode 4, reviewing our third adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Now, the first two that we talked about in the last episode were both the silent films, but guess what? This is the first one that we have that includes sound, which is just amazing. This is Scrooge, created in 1935 and starring Sir Seymour Hicks as the miser himself. Now, because there's sound, first off, we can actually hear the key lines that we've always wanted to hear before. The one about the jailhouses and the poorhouses, and if they better die, they better do it and decrease the surplus population, because that is... it really, really captures the character of Scrooge. So, starting there, the opening scene. It wasn't just 30 seconds, or in the case of the first one, 10 seconds. It actually developed and showed everything. We had Scrooge's nephew showed up. We had the charity people show up. We had his confrontation with Bob Cratchit saying, "Oh, I guess I'll give you the day off, but you'll be here all the earlier the next morning," or however he says it. I am very bad at impressions. I should probably just stop, but I'm going to keep them going because I find them funny in my own head. And you're watching, so you'll deal with it. But anyway, we go from there. And because there's sound and there's more interest involved with the people watching this, they actually go from the money house to where he works to the streets. They show a montage right there was by. And one of the things that I really, really enjoyed about this was they showed all spots, all types of socioeconomic classes. They showed the poor celebrating. They showed the rich celebrating. There was a party where the Lord that was hosting it had everybody stand up and they sang "God Save the Queen." It was just a fantastic way to show that everybody was celebrating. And then they had this shot of just Scrooge in his restaurant eating by himself with no one there to keep him company except for the waiter, who you could probably tell while watching it, wanted to go home. He didn't want to be there. So it really showed how Scrooge really didn't care for this holiday and how he just wanted to collect money, wanted to live the best life he possibly could, and this was the only way he knew how to do it. So from there, we go back to the house, and we have sound. So we have Marley there. We have him checking the entirety of the house. He goes through everything. And this Marley, they did something quite unique that I had never seen before, and I've seen a lot of Christmas Carol adaptations. They never showed him. They showed his, well, no, I shouldn't say never showed him. They showed his face for the doorknob, but then when they actually went up and had the confrontation of him and Scrooge, where Marley says, "You're going to be visited by these three ghosts," he wasn't there. They had a voiceover by Claude Rains, the great Claude Rains, and they just showed the camera of where he might be. He walked in the door. There was sound of change. There was a voice. And he says, "Only you can see me." And literally only Scrooge could see him. No one in the audience could. Then they panned the camera over and showed the chair where he sat down and everything. And it followed everything. It was a very interesting take on it, a very interesting way to do that. And I won't say it was the best Marley that I've ever seen. I only gave it a 5 out of 10 on the actual development because it was just one person talking, another person talking. There wasn't a soundstage. There was no back and forth. The dialogue itself didn't grow. It didn't develop, and it just didn't work. But I did give it a 4 out of 5 closest to the book because it did follow the book very well. It showed the chains coming upstairs. Only Scrooge could see him. That's something that no one had ever done before. Not even the audience could see him. And it's something that never does it again. And then when he leaves through a gust of wind out the window and everything. So 4 out of 5 on trueness to the book. But just because of the time and the way they had to do it, I gave it a 5 out of 10. So Marley got a 9 out of 15 on this one, which was still improved to a lot of the other ones that we've seen. Okay, then we had The Ghost of Christmas Past. Now this one, they put a silhouette of a man surrounded by light. You didn't see a face at all, and it was quite interesting. And because of the time, obviously they didn't have the effects that people would have wanted. So they actually only did the flashback, kind of like they did with the silent films before, and they just showed stuff through that and everything. And it was interesting. They showed the two main stories. One thing they've done in this one that's different from other ones that I've seen, I know there's a lot of things I'm pointing out that are different from other ones I've seen. We'll obviously get to those. This is episode 4 of, I think, 37 is what's planned. So we'll just see what happens there. But they took Scrooge's story backwards. Yeah, and they only concentrated on the Bell situation. They didn't concentrate on his family life before, and they didn't concentrate on schooling. Okay, they showed his breakup with Belle and then showed her with her family, and that was it. So there really wasn't much of a story development. There wasn't much of a character growth. And how did he get here? It's just one thing. And obviously, Marley did die like it's supposed to in the story and everything, but still, it was just, I didn't get enough out of it. So that adaptation, I'm sorry, I had to give a 3 out of 10, but it still followed the book, what was actually shown. But because it didn't show everything that was required, or what not required, but everything that was in the book, all the material presented, I gave that a 3 out of 5. So the Ghost of Christmas Past on this one got a 6 out of 15. Now moving on to the present, because there's no time like the present. Okay, Oscar Ashe played a brilliant Ghost of Christmas Present. I enjoyed him thoroughly. He did the "come in and know me better, man." Oh, everything. It was the epitome of Ghost of Christmas Present. But there were just little things about his story that irked me. Okay, just going through one thing, the "God bless us." Okay, Tiny Tim's most famous line, it just didn't do anything for me. Okay, it didn't give me that sense of, oh, this guy's so adorable, but he's gonna die. Why? I didn't get that. I got this as a kid reading a script, making a line. Okay, and that's just it's not good. I mean, it's good for the time. I shouldn't say it's not good. It was good for the time. It was exactly what's expected. They were actors doing exactly what actors do for the time. But for me, it just wasn't overwhelming. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it. So I had to give, but at the same time, the ghost itself was great. I just didn't like what the story did while the ghost was there. So overall, 7 out of 10 on that one, but they followed the book. They followed the book almost to a T. Okay? They missed the little thing at the end that a lot of them have, but not all of them. So I gave that one a 4 out of 5, then a 7 out of 10. We got an 11 out of 15 for the Ghost of Christmas Present in this version. Then we move on to the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. And this was something else that I just wish I had seen before, because it was just a great take on how this works. And they never showed a person dressed up as the Ghost of Christmas Future. They actually just showed a shadow. He's laying in bed, and all of a sudden there's this shadow of a hand that comes up. And bam, it just taps him on the head, and he wakes up, and he's scared to death. And obviously he would be, because he's scared of what is essentially death. And then they go through, and he sees, for the first time in any adaptation, he sees people talking about this dead person. And he's wondering, how could anybody be so cruel as to nobody cares about his death? And, well, come to find out, it's him eventually. Okay? But the other thing that it did was it really showed the story of the Cratchits and how they're dealing with the death of Tiny Tim. And you really get to see that emotion presented by Sir Hicks. And just, I mean, the future was great. But once again, there's just a few little things. Unfortunately, when you're doing a movie, and we're kind of spoiled these days because sound is better than goodness, but it looked like I was watching a stage play on film. The camera didn't move, barely. I mean, it just went through back and forth, people doing things. It was just, I mean, it was good. It was really, really good. And for the times, it would have been great. But when we're talking about grand scheme of Christmas carols from then until now, putting them all on an equal scale, unfortunately, it only got a 7 as well. But because it was close to the book, another 4 out of 5. So once again, the present and the future had the same score. The future had an 11 out of 15. Now let's talk about the 3 extras here. Okay, we have cinematography. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It was good. Wasn't great. I mean, it was good. It showed what we needed to. The director obviously knew what he wanted, the vision, everything, and the camera caught it. I thought the costumes in this one were better than the first 2. The first 2 seemed to be very bland, or I shouldn't say bland. They were very cookie cutter. They followed the same form and the same design for every single character in here. This one had a lot of variety within the costume. So I gave this one an extra point on that one. I gave it an 8 out of 10. And the music, there was music. Finally, that is what I love. You know this. I love the music portion of all of it. But it didn't overwhelm me. Okay, it was good. It fit the story. It was all fun and good on that one, but it didn't overwhelm me. So I had to give that one a 6 out of 10. Now, to talk about Scrooge overall. Following the book, it was great. 4 out of 5 on that one. Bad Scrooge. Sir Seymour Hicks blew me away with Bad Scrooge. But once again, I'm comparing to ones that I know are coming later, and I have to save somewhere to go compared to. I know it's kind of cheating when you do that, but unfortunately, I've seen them. I can't just get rid of them in my head. So I gave that one a 7 out of 10. It was good, wasn't great compared to some of the others that we're going to go over. Then Bad Scrooge, Good Scrooge. We just talked about Bad Scrooge. Bad doesn't go to bad, though. No, it's not that kind of story. But anyway, Good Scrooge. He was very good at bad. And at times his good didn't translate well. So unfortunately, I'm giving that a 3 out of a 5. And then his transformation, there was no real development other than a little bit within the future. I mean, I lost a lot of the present. I said, oh, I'm sad, but you couldn't really see it. So his transformation, there wasn't that gradual, and then all of a sudden, oh no, I'm about to die. I have to do something. So he changes. So it was there. It was pretty good. Not the best. So a 6 out of 10 on that one, giving this Scrooge a 20 out of 30. Okay, so that is our review of Scrooge from 1935 starring Sir Seymour Hicks. Make sure you stay tuned for episode 5 where we go on to our next Christmas Carol and see where they line up with the other ones. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. God bless all of you, and that's a wrap.